to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I'm Lori Davis, and I'm president of the Goffstown Lions Club, and I would like to welcome you all to Candidates Night. We've been doing this for well over 35 years and enjoyed doing this. Does this thing work? Okay, so we'll shout now. Welcome, thank you for coming. I would like all the Goffstown Lions that are attending to please stand so everybody can see who you are. Face the audience, folks. Thank you all for coming. And this is your Candidates Night. I'm from the town of Ware, so what happens here doesn't really affect me. But as you know, most of us know that the Lions Club is known for their popcorn wagon. We sell the Christmas trees every year in front of Sully's. The other thing that we do, and anybody who has a child that plays baseball knows our baseball fields. We are known for helping with sight and hearing. We collect eyeglasses. We're involved with diabetes these days. And we do a lot of quiet projects that we don't tell people about. So that's what your Goffstown Lions Club does. We're here to help quietly in the community. And Ken Lawrence is going to take over from here to be the MC. Have a wonderful evening and good luck with your election.
All right, thank you very much, Laurie. Just a little reminder, there is a microphone here that is just going directly to GTV. So when you come up here as a candidate to make your speech, just try to speak as loud as possible, so especially so they can hear you in the back of the room. Can you hear me back there? I see, okay, I see people sleeping. They can hear me. Okay, good. Yeah, you can hear me, Claire. Okay, thank you. I do want to thank the Lions Club. Actually, hard to believe, I've been a member of the Lions Club going on 5 years now. I want to thank them again for asking me to be the MC tonight. I do enjoy doing this, but I also think it's very important that we have a candidates night where the candidates who are running for local public offices come out, have a chance to speak, so that the public gets a chance to know where the candidates stand on the very important issues that has to do with the town. I think it is very important that you do get out and vote. For those of you who have been here for the past few years, you will always hear me say that. Voting is extremely important. And to get the word out to your friends, relatives, anyone you know to come out and vote. The voting is March 12th. Why I think it's important to vote, it doesn't do any good on March 13th to say, gee, that didn't go the way I wanted, and you didn't make the effort to get out. That's very important. I always said I have a lot of respect for people who vote, even if they vote the opposite of what I want. The fact that they got out and had their voice heard is very important. So please remember to get out and vote. Before we continue on, the Lions Club partners with the Goffstown Public Library to bring you this evening. And there's a lady we know real well who works very hard to make this happen, and I want to call her up to say a few words up here. Diane Hathaway.
Thanks, everyone. We are very pleased to be partnering with the Lions Club again this year. I think that it's one of our great partnerships in town. We love to partner, and I am shamelessly plugging our Courageous Conversations project that we're partnering with St. Anselm College, St. Matthew's Church, Crispin's House, and the Granite State organizing project. So please, I hope you'll attend some of our upcoming events. We're excited about it. We're excited about Candidates Night. Thank you for your willingness to serve the Goffstown community. And I am enjoying seeing all your friendly faces that I know so well. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Before we begin, just a reminder, I'm sure you've never heard this before, if you have a cell phone, could you just, even though you know you muted it when you walked in, could you just check it just to make sure it is either shut off or on candidates up. The candidates will have 3 to 4 minutes to speak. If there are any questions, they will be asked while the candidate is still up here. I'll come up and ask if anyone has any questions. Please have the questions for the office the candidate is running for. Not for the candidate itself, but for the office, something that has to do with that particular office. Okay? All right. We're not going in any particular order. That's the thing most of the candidates ask me. I'm not going to be first, am I? Somebody has to be first, okay? That's the way it works. You don't start at second. So, what we'll do is, somebody got here particularly early today, which I think is great, and he's smiling at me. So, for cemetery trustee, Gary Chapdelaine, if you could come up.
Wow, first, huh? So they gave me 3 to 4 minutes to tell you what 53 years of life experience I have. Well, started off, I'm a lifelong resident of Goffstown, New Hampshire. Grew up in Pinardville in the flats on Louis Street. Since then, I'm an Eagle Scout, Troop 102. Then, after graduation, went through Bartlett School, upper elementary, here at the high school. I ended up in the military. Spent 4 years in the Army, so I'm a vet. Didn't get called to any campaigns, but still a vet. A lot of people say that, you know. If you haven't been to war, then you're not. Well, I disagree. From there, I got married, worked at Hillsborough County Jail, House of Corrections. When I got out of the service, got married, have 3 grown young adults. One graduated from UNH, one from Franklin Pierce, and I have one currently enrolled at Franklin Pierce. While I was raising them and working at the jail, my wife told me, you need something to do to keep you occupied. I said, oh really? And she said, sign me up for a level 1 firefighting course. So I took a level 1 firefighting course, and next thing, everything boiled down. Level 2 EMT. Got on the Goffstown Fire Department, where I was a junior call lieutenant for 12 years, and enjoyed that quite a bit. My ex-wife had raised my children, did a pretty good job while I was in training and away working at the firehouse. After leaving the jail, I went a small little 5-year spat with the Elliott Hospital, the VNA, Southern New Hampshire Services on Elm Street. I was their facilities coordinator, worked there for 5 years, and then they sold the building, so here I am. I'm a truck driver too with the town of Goffstown. Been here for 15 years, working for the citizens, plowing. Now's the time, right? Sorry about the roads, but you know, there's 140 miles of roads and probably, I want to say 13 salt trucks out there, so drive carefully. That's all I can say. We do our best. I figured I'd run for cemetery trustee because, you know, I have pretty good working relationships with Megan and Jason, who's a cemetery foreman, and did some work for, I volunteered for the Goffstown CERT. I was their training officer. Did that for 4 or 5 years under Sue Jutras and Helene. Other than that, I mentored
questions for Gary? And nothing about plowing your driveway special or anything?
I'm sorry for your mailbox.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. You know, I do want to say, seriously on that, being a plow driver or anything in New England is a real difficult job. You guys do a great job, really. I travel around, and believe me, there's some other cities and towns that it's not done as well. So good job. Good job for you and the guys out there. So you're welcome. Okay, next we have the Budget Committee. And the first person I'll call up is Richard Manzo.
Hello, everyone. I'm running unopposed this year, so I just wanted to come and put a face to the name. I last ran for well, it was called the Board of Selectmen at the time, now the Select Board, in 2018. I've lived in Goffstown since my final year of elementary school, went through the public school system here in Goffstown, and fell in love with the community, honestly. It's given me so much, and I just wanted to give back. I've served on the Budget Committee now for 4 months, I would say, since I was added in early to mid-November to fill a vacancy. And I guess all I can say is that something I always use my vote and my voice on that committee to do is make sure that the taxpayers are not only getting the vital services they need, but find low-cost solutions, modern cost-reducing solutions, and that every penny is spent on services that will provide a direct, sustainable benefit to the Goffstown community. So, thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Richard. Okay, Spencer Diaz couldn't be here this evening. He had sent me something to read for him. I was not able to attend this evening's candidates night due to a prior commitment to my EMT class. And just as much as I want to save people's lives, I also want to save people's wallets by keeping the budget balanced and fiscally sound. A bit of background about myself. I'm a politics major at St. A's and work at the Bedford Manchester Hannafords. I graduated from Bedford High with a high school diploma and an international baccalaureate, and my paper was on global politics. Hope to see you all on election night, March 12th. Okay. For Sewer Commission, Tim Redmond couldn't be here this evening. He was going to be here. He had a family emergency. Everything is okay. He just felt he needed to take care of a few things for tonight. So he apologized for not being able to get here this evening. But everything is fine with his family, though. So, okay, moving on. Next, we have the Planning Board, and if I could call up Barbara Griffin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Barbara Griffin, and I am a candidate for Planning Board for 3 years. I am currently a member of the Planning Board and have served on that board for a few terms after serving on other boards here in town, to include Budget Committee, Board of Selectmen, and Library Trustees. Where's my favorite librarian? Where'd she go? Did she leave? All right. I've enjoyed my time on the Planning Board. We've made some changes while I have been there in regards to the ordinance, and I'd like to see some of those through. One of the things we are doing right now is we've awarded a contract for a master plan update. There have been a couple of master plan updates done, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to have a table set up at the elections with a survey for you changes. I think there are positive things coming. I like going to the Shaw's Plaza for Bounce City or Fun City or whatever it is. A lot of friends are going there, and we're seeing some businesses move into town, which is good, but our town also mirrors a lot of what's going on in other communities, to include Manchester, in that we have some vacant storefronts and a lot of office space, because all of us are trying to work at home more and more, and we're seeing the fallout of that. So I would like the opportunity to continue to work on making sure that our community, both from our housing and our commercial aspect, is something that you all can support. As far as myself, I actually moved to Goffstown over 30 years ago as a single woman. I bought a house on a hill and was going to move out 2 years later, and 30 plus years later, here I am. I wanted to get involved in the community like a lot of you then, and I first ran for budget committee, and I've been on committees here in town ever since, and I ask for your vote and look forward to the opportunity to be able to serve you for the next few years on the planning board. Thank you.
Any questions for Barbara? Barbara, thank you very much. Next, we have the Budget Committee, and if Bill Cordes could please come forward.
I wish the PA was working in here. If you can't hear me, I'm a little hoarse tonight. I've lived in Goffstown since 1955, except for brief periods in Massachusetts and Connecticut. I graduated from this building in the first class to graduate back in 1966. I did my undergraduate work down at Wesleyan in Connecticut and graduate work at UNH. I was in the retail book trade for quite a while, and also taught high school
questions? Thank you very much. And next we have the library trustees. And the first person we'll call up is Kathy Holt.
I'm the person that can barely see over the podium. First off, how many of you noticed the moon when you came in? Wasn't that awesome? Wasn't that awesome? You know, one of the things I love about libraries is that you have a chance to not only read about it, search the internet from the library, but we also have workshops on it, so you can go and see the night sky, and that's what I think is just awesome about our library. And I want to thank our library people for doing that, and that's part of the reason why I just think libraries are amazing, and part of the reason why I just can't say enough about being a library trustee. I have been a library trustee for 6 years, took a year off for a variety of reasons and why I want to run again. I know you can all read. You can get a lot out of the booklet that you have, and thank you for the Lions Club and the library for putting that together. I'm not going to give you a whole lot. I'm resident for, I think, 25 years. Been here. My husband has been in town all of his life so far, and my mother-in-law, who is 91, well, not quite, she March, and is a long-time resident, and her husband is a Shirley. I think you saw that in there, from Shirley Hill. So they've been here very long time. So I'm the newcomer. And I have a dog named Snickers that my sister says got her name because she's sweet but a little nutty. So the family is here, and I've moved around a lot in my life, but I found a home here in Goffstown, and I'm very happy about that. One of the things that I will say is that you have 3 really great candidates for library trustee, and as you heard from the Lions people here, is that I don't care who you vote for. Well, I do, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But you do need to get out and vote, and I am really encouraging you to vote for me. But at least vote, and vote for the person that you feel will do the best. One of the things I will say is that you do have a great board, a library board here. And when you vote on March 12th, I really want you to think about all of the people who represent you in town, and to make sure that whatever your needs are, they are met. One of the things that I also think is that
questions? You're dismissed, teacher.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Diane Hebert.
Thank you, everyone. My name's Diane Hebert, and I'm running for library trustees because libraries have been a fundamental and really important part of my life as a child and as an adult. I'm a 6-year resident of Goffstown, but a lifelong resident of New Hampshire. Grew up in a very working class family, and we didn't have a book budget, we didn't have an entertainment budget, so libraries were essential for us. It was our gateway to everything. And long before there were mall rats, I was a library rat. And I got my bachelor's, surprisingly not in library science, but in English from UNH Manchester, got my master's in English from UMass Amherst, and I've worked as a full-time faculty member at Manchester Community College for almost 20 years now. And part of what we do in the English department really dovetails with libraries. We teach academic research and writing, and I know that access to good quality information is so critical and increasingly difficult. So the library is really essential to what I do in my professional life, and it really has become a large part of the reason why I want to serve the library and serve Goffstown through the library. So both the library and the community college have access as a mission, and to me that's such a fundamental part of our democracy that regardless of your ability to pay, these amazing things are there. It's access to books and other forms of entertainment, DVDs, games. It's museum passes, so there's cultural enrichment. These community conversations on really difficult to wrap your head around topics are all possible regardless of your ability to pay because we have libraries. So that's to support the work of the library, and the mission of access is really why I want to be a library trustee, and I would appreciate your vote on March 12th. So thank you.
Any questions? Okay, next up is Amy Hunterman.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Amy Hunterman. I am the current chair of the Library Board of Trustees. I have been on the board for the past 3 years, so I haven't had to come up here and do this for 3 years, which has been really nice. I can talk to you about the library all day and not be nervous, but talking about myself Trustees with your library card. As the chair of the Board of Trustees, I have a lot of responsibility. I am the representative that goes to the select board and the budget committee, and I show up, and so do the other trustees. Most of us show up for the deliberative session, and we sit and we listen and we watch and we're there. The library's there for you. It's open for everyone. If you're not using the library, I would love to talk to you and tell you all about the things that you would love about the library if you just give it a chance. I hope that you will vote for me on March 12th. Like I said, I love what I do. I'm very passionate about it. I'm at the library all the time. You will often see me at the new Let's Make series that they're doing for adults. I just, this weekend, decorated cupcakes with a bunch of people, which was fantastic. I took a little workshop about succulents and terrariums and things like that. I'm at the library all the time. I love it. I've read 93 books last year, and about 89 of them I borrowed from the library for free. And that was in person, interlibrary loan, and ebooks with my Kindle. I sit in bed and read while my husband's sleeping. But so if you like cozy mysteries, catch me later, because I love those. That's mostly what I read. But again, I love the library. I love talking about the library, and any way I can share with people in the town what the library can do for them, that's what I want to do. Thank you.
Are there any questions? She knows a little bit about the library. Yes. Come on, Amy.
No. The Library Board of Trustees is specifically for the Goffstown Public Library. That is all that we control. Any other questions? I like questions. They don't make me as nervous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Just on that note real fast for Amy, Kathy, Diane, and Diane, I'm sure there's probably a few people in here who have not been to the library in quite a while, think, well, there's not a book I'm looking for, or a DVD, or this and that. You know what? Sometimes just go. Just go and walk around. My wife loves to go to the library. I take her over there, and they're like, no, I'm not interested in anything. I'm all set. And I walk around, and usually I end up checking out a book, because there's something there that I see I hadn't thought of, and it strikes my attention, and end up taking a great book out. I do want to thank the people of the library, though, because you have a fantastic DVD selection. You really do. My wife loves to rent DVDs, so she takes them home, goes in her room and watches them, and I get to watch what I want on my TV. So I want to thank you, Diane. Thank you very much for that. Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Well, she's watching right now live, so I think she's calling a locksmith right now to change the locks after that remark. But anyway, but thank you. Okay, moving right along. Next is the school board. And first on the list is Timothy Stetson.
Evening. Thank you everyone for making it out here tonight. Just wanted to also thank the Lions Club, the high school, GTV for putting this on. It's really great seeing everybody here. Our democracy is only as effective as you showing up and taking part in it, so thank you very much for doing your civic duty. We definitely appreciate it, even though half the room is for election. With that said, my name is Timothy Stetson. I'm running for school board. I've been a resident of the town coming up on 2 years here in May. Moved to the town with my wife, Tara. Really the main reason why we moved to the town was the school system. It's obvious just from looking around this building here, as well as the passion that we hear in other candidates speaking about the facilities of the town, that Goffstown has a wonderful community, SAU 19 has a budget just north of 40. So that is over 2 times the value of the town budget. This is incredibly important. In these tax dollars, your tax dollars, I want to make sure are spent effectively. I think Scott Gross, Superintendent Balke do a fantastic job as it is now, making sure that the system runs as efficient and effective as possible. And I want to make sure that I can have a part in that. As a member of the budget committee, I toured all of the schools. I got to see the hard work that our principals and teachers put in every single day. I got to see that the way the infrastructure works and the administration and the great jobs that everybody do. And I want to make sure that ultimately we continue to provide a great education for our residents of the town while continuing to deliver great value. Ultimately, it's going to cost money, and that there is going to be a tax rate impact. That's what the school does. However, Goffstown price per pupil is a pretty good bargain. It's a good value to it. I want to make sure that I can continue to have effective, efficient value to the town, to the schools. At the end of the day, I'm forever an optimist. I work in the corporate world, so I understand it's not always going to be pie in the sky dreaming. So I'm very pragmatic about things. I want to make sure that we're delivering this, but we're also not going bonkers. Ultimately, I do believe in challenging the status quo. I don't believe in just accepting an answer for what it is. And so what I look to bring to the board is somebody that is going to get out there and be grassroots. The first thing that I'm going to be doing as a member of the school is I met yesterday, for instance, with Superintendent Balke. And one of the things that I plan on doing is touring the schools. I want to be boots on the ground. I want to understand what makes things tick underneath the hood. And I want to understand where our opportunities and pitfalls currently lie within the school system, as well as what we're doing great so we can continue to do that. At the end of the day, we care about our children. I don't think anybody here is going to say we don't want our kids to have a good experience, we want them to have a bad school system. At the end of the day, we care about our children and we want them to have a great system. And the best way to do it is by getting underneath the hood and learning what makes things tick so that you can continue to grow that. I want to make sure we do it in a responsible manner, and that's why I'm interested in running. The last piece, and finally here, in terms of implementing a policy or just really getting involved, I'm curious to know about our matriculation process as we take kids through K through 12. Make sure that we're giving them a full view of what really life is. So that way, when they do walk across the stage senior year and they're cap and gown, they're well prepared for career responsibilities, but also for financial responsibilities. We're aware of how the world is becoming faster, it's moving quicker, it's becoming more competitive and more costly. And so one of the things that I would like to focus on as a member of the school board is how are we preparing students for other venues, not just necessarily the traditional pathing of college, but also other opportunities, be that trade schools, the military, or what have you. That is something that I'm very passionate about and that I look to bring. As a member of the school board, or somebody running to be a member of the school board, I would love your vote to help support me here. If you're looking for a fresh face, as well as somebody that's motivated, I don't have any children in the district right now, but it's the whole reason why I moved here, so that is down the line. Hopefully, that's a while down the line so we can enjoy some time. Point is, I'm that person for you, so I would love to have your vote on March 12th. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Retta Shafee.
Hi everyone, my name's Retta Chaffee and I am currently on the school board and I'm seeking my 3rd term, so I've been on it for 6 years, and I really look forward to having Tim on the board as well. Something every time when you're coming up for election, you think what have we just looking for ways to improving getting that information out there. A little bit about myself. I am the Director of Educational Technology at Granite State College, and I've been there for 20 years where I oversee not only educational technology but their online degree. And that's kind of the end. Everything I've done in my life has somehow been connected to education. I've been a high school Spanish teacher. I've taught in many different levels. I've done training around the world. So education is really in my core. If I weren't running for the school board, I think I want to run for the library committee, though, because that sounds like a great place. And I will say, every chance I get, I'm always talking about the library and how wonderful it is and how it adapts. And also, we do have the best plowed roads in the state, so thank you. Anytime I leave Goffstown, it's like, look forward to coming back. I know I can get home. Anyways, I do have 2 children, one in the middle school, one just started the high school. I myself graduated from Goffstown High School. I've lived here pretty much my entire life. I was going away, never coming back. I'm not sure how I ended up back here, but I knew I wanted to be involved in the community. So I am running for the school board again, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Any questions for Retta? If you want to know anything about the library, there's a room at Amy.
We have a library?
Yeah, really. Thank you, Retta. Okay. Okay. Next we have the select board, and first person we'll call up is Chet Bowen.
Good evening. I would like to start by thanking the Lions Club, GTV, the Goffstown Public Library, and the high school for coordinating this event tonight, and thanks to all of you for showing up. My name is Chet Bowen. I have lived in Goffstown for 3 years along with my wife and 2 children, 6 and 2. Prior to that, I had spent most of my adult life in Boston. I was working as a program director for a dual diagnosis treatment facility. And I met my wife, and she had told me that she was a first grade teacher in the Merrimack schools, at which point it became evident I was moving back to New Hampshire. So in moving back to New Hampshire, I always knew that right away I'd want to contribute to the community that I chose in a positive way. I grew up in New Hampshire under very difficult circumstances. It took a lot of perseverance and certainly some luck, not afraid to admit that, in order for me to achieve some of my goals. I was able to pursue my education. I got a BA from Plymouth State University, and I followed that with a master's from Northeastern University. Moving back to New Hampshire, we were very deliberate about where we wanted to go, and Goffstown stuck out very early as a place that we thought we could make a real home. We started in Nashua for a couple of years while we searched. That community I told you about that I grew up in, whenever I go back there, people are always asking me, especially those familiar with my situation, how's it going? How are things now? What's your next goal? They were super supportive of me and reaching my goals, and I saw that same positivity and that same supportive environment in Goffstown, and for me it was such an easy choice. I immediately looked for ways I could volunteer. I started officially on the zoning board in March of 2018, but I was an alternate prior to that, and I have been a member of the Economic Development Council since 2017, early 2017. In addition to that, I teach psychology classes at Manchester Community College, and I teach both sociology and psychology at Southern New Hampshire University. And in town, I also serve as the chair of the board for UpReach. That's a equine therapy center based right here in Goffstown. Those experiences are fantastic. They're volunteer experiences. And then my full-time position, I work as a state director for community integrated services. My role as a state director is very similar to what an executive director would be. I need to focus on individuals who are vulnerable in society. I need to focus on their clinical needs. I need to focus on the employees that work for the company. I need to focus on being sure that there's advocacy at the state level, at the local level, for each of these individuals, all while trying to maintain a sustainable business. Fiscal responsibility is a key as it is at the state level or the federal level. I think the character of a town that we can be proud of consists of equal opportunity for people of all abilities and people in the town supporting that equal opportunity through accessibility. As far as economic development is concerned, of course, we would like to attract businesses to help ease the tax burden on the residents. But in addition, we can attract businesses that are bringing in services and products that are truly useful to Goffstown. We can be intentional about which businesses we want to attract, and I would hope to support the Economic Development Council in continuing that pursuit. And of course, there's generational sustainability. In my time on the Zoning Board and on the Economic Development Council, it was very, very clear to me that there are certain people in town that want nothing to change, and who can blame them? It's a wonderful quality of life and a great place to live. There are also people that would like to see a lot of change, people that would like to see accessibility into town, people that would like to see more businesses come in, and I truly believe we can find a way to do both. I think it's the responsibility of any member of the Select Board to look objectively at all of these situations and where they may cause conflict, and find a way through conversation with residents, conversations with each other, to create something that works for as many people as possible. I truly believe in that. In the next few weeks, I plan to knock on a lot of doors. I plan to meet a lot of residents. I expect, as I said earlier, for this to evolve some of my ideas to evolve. And I certainly hope that I can create some personal, sustainable connections that persist. Thank you so much for coming out. I really hope that I can earn your vote on March 12th.
Are there any questions?
Sure. Well, I'm just me. I'm one person with a subjective idea about how everything should be perfect. That I use right now. Asking people. You asked me to ask. I would solicit the opinions of people, and purposely solicit the opinions of people who feel differently. So, sure, there's 5 people on the board, but I'd want to look at, starting with, you look at the department heads and what's going on there. Number one, you look at some of the need, you prioritize that need, you talk to the residents. If there's a major issue in town, how are they feeling about it? Depending on where you live, I'm sure it will be different. And really bringing that in to create an informed opinion about what you prioritize first, and communicate to the residents what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then come up with a plan to make sure that whoever, I guess, quote unquote, lost in that situation knows they're going to have an opportunity to get what they're asking for down the line. Does that answer the question? Great. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Fred Flood.
Good evening. I'm Fred Plett. I've been a resident of Goffstown since 1974, newcomer. That makes it 45 years. The first way I got involved actively in Goffstown, I'm proud to say, is to beg my neighbor to become a Goffstown Lion. And I've been a Goffstown Lion since 1982. My fellow Goffstown Lions may not recognize me this year because I haven't been at a meeting all year. The reason I haven't been at a meeting all year is because I'm district governor of Lions and I've visited 41 out of 44 clubs. I've got 3 to go. But I've been active behind the scenes working with them and as district governor. When I became a Goffstown Lion, my prime motive was to get involved with the town. And boy, did that work. I don't know how many of you remember past International Director Larry Emerton, but he grabbed me. I went on the planning board. I've been chair of the planning board. I've been vice chair of the budget committee, capital improvement committee, solid waste commission. Not even mentioned in that book is the several years of assistant moderator, town and school side. Ran town meeting a couple of times. Loved it. I've always been very civic in my outlook. When it wasn't working, I was doing something civic. JCs, then Lions, active leadership of Lions, now state rep. And so that's my life. I know, having served in several different boards and commissions, committees, charter commission, a handicap access committee. It was an ad hoc committee. So having served on that, I know how the town works. I want to do the best for the town to keep the town vibrant, growing, taxes low, and I'll do my best. Thank you.
questions for Fred? Thank you, Fred. Next up is Alan Yeaton.
Good evening. My name is Alan Yeaton. I thought I came prepared. But I wish to thank everybody, the Lions Club, Goffstown Television, and everybody else that's been involved in this. It shows one thing, that people in this community want to be involved in this community. And I've been involved since I moved here with my wife in 1998. We built a home here. And I've been involved in planning boards, economic development council. I'm currently the chairman of the zoning board. But more likely than not, the real reason I'm here is I'm concerned about the development in this town, how this town develops, and what will instigate this community to greatness, meaning how can I help? And what will it take? It'll take the involvement of the community as itself. How do you do that? Well, you maintain openness. You have a willingness to talk to people. You listen to different people's opinions. And then you formulate answers that you think will work for the community. And so that's how I think the select board works with the departments and staff, with direct involvement and communication. And communication is critical. I would like to think that I'd always be open to any communication from any resident of Goffstown, and that they should be respectful, and that they will get a respectful answer from me as to what will happen. And I think that's really critical, that each resident feels like that their elected representative is responsible to them and what they feel. And thank you very much. And I look forward to you voting on in March, and I would like to ask for your vote in confidence that I can serve the community. Thank you.
Any questions for Alan? Thank you, Alan. Next we have Melanie Renfrew-Hebert.
Hi, thank you all for coming tonight. I'm very proud to stand here and say that I'm running for select board for Goffstown. I know you have your flyer, I don't want to read to you from it, but my wife and I moved here, Diane Hebert, we moved here 6 years ago with one child and one dog, and bought a house over in Pinardville right next to Pizza Market. Now we have 2 kids, 2 dogs, and a lot of experience in the town. And what it's taught me is that this is a community that I would like to stay in and grow older in, not too much older, but I'd like to stay in and grow older in, and share the experience of living in Goffstown with my children, and eventually with their children. I'm looking long range into the future, and what I'm seeing is that a spot on the select board will give me an opportunity to help plan out the future for my children in Goffstown, to go to school, to live, to work, and to raise their families. I moved here from Manchester, where I lived for 35 years, where I was dragged kicking and screaming to Granite State Independent Living, where Social Security gladly told me everything I needed to know about. Okay, nobody wants to know about benefits. If you do, you can talk to me later. But and I found all those connections between federal, state, and town benefits, and how to help them go back to work, keep their benefits, or utilize their benefits in a way that worked for them. Again, by talking to them, explaining to them, educating them, I could make a difference in their life. Well, now I had to move up to New Hampshire, in New Hampshire to Concord, to the Economic and Labor Market Information Bureau. And I used the information that I took from those other jobs, and I said, how can I help people across the state of New Hampshire make a difference in their lives through education, through training programs? And I did a little bit of work with the Workforce Opportunity Act, and I also analyzed all their data. So I'm very comfortable and familiar with reading budgets, with doing needs analysis, with pulling pieces together and coming up with answers by listening to the people who would actually use the services. And I'd like to bring that to Goffstown as well. My sons are growing up in Goffstown. My oldest son is in Bartlett School now, but he went to Glen Lake, and so I help out with the school. He wanted to be a scout, so I help out with the scouts. I'm growing in Goffstown along with them, and I'm looking forward to a long life in a Goffstown that I help plan for me and for all of you. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Well, the first step for me would be to talk to individuals in the community and find out, where do we want to see Goffstown? What is a Goffstown 10 years from now, 20 years from now look like to you? What does it look like to me? And how can we make it a place where we can grow and age in place and not have to leave our homes, leave our community as we grow older? I would take that information back and actually go through the steps that we would have to put in place now to have those resources available then. So sometimes we pay into the system now in the way of taxes for long-range benefits, not just for what we see today. I often hear people complain about paying taxes, and I do believe that the town owes the citizens, the residents, a certain promise that with that funding, they're actually going to see a benefit. I've seen a lot of great things happen in Goffstown because of the taxes and the planning that we have. And so we also need to tell them that some of that needs to go to help them when they're older and their children as they grow up in Goffstown. So for me, it would be helping explain why the money is necessary to go in now to make those changes in the future, but really being confident that everyone's informed on how those steps are being made. I think if people see the process and they see the steps, then they're more confident in the outcomes. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Ken.
Okay, next we have Collis Adams.
Good evening, folks. Both of those of you here in attendance and those of us who are joining us via Goffstown Community Television. Welcome you all. Thank you for participating. I want to also express my appreciation and gratitude to the Lions Club in cooperation with the Goffstown Public Library for putting on this event. I think it provides a great platform for the candidates to come forward and tell you a little bit about ourselves. So for that, I'm very appreciative. So let me start out by saying a few words about why I chose to seek one of the two open seats on the Board of Selectmen. Excuse me, I'm going to use that term because I did serve 6 years when it was known as the Board of Selectmen. Now, appropriately, people from the community who I respect greatly who approached me and encouraged me to run. People from our various town departments, people from the boards, committees, and commissions that I served with throughout the many years. I've been engaged in Goffstown issues and Goffstown politics at the local level for almost my entire time that I've lived in Goffstown, which is nearly 35 years at this point. You know, when I moved to Goffstown 35 years ago, I was thoroughly entranced by what a lovely community it was. Now, granted, back in 1985, Goffstown looked a little bit different than it does in 2019, but it still held the charm of a local New England community with wonderful resources and wonderful people, and that was apparent right from the beginning. So my beginnings started actually when my daughter, my oldest child, was going to Maple Ave Elementary School. And at that time, the school district decided they were going to do away with a very unique community event here in Goffstown, and that was the Halloween parade. Well, I said, that can't be. That is so iconic and so local and so community-minded, that can't be. So I brought together a bunch of residents, and we approached the school district, and we pleaded to please not do away with such a wonderful community event. And we were successful. I said, aha, I can bring about change. And I believe in that. I believe each and every one of us has the ability to bring about change in our community, no matter how big or how small, because even the smallest changes can bring about big difference in our communities. So I think it's wonderful that people step forward to provide and volunteer their services and their knowledge for the betterment of their community. Now I can go on and on about how I've lived here for 35 years. I've put 2 children through our public schools. They got wonderful educations. The library has been great and it's provided all kinds of opportunities for my children as they are growing older. Our Parks and Recs Commission and Department and the wonderful work that they do, providing opportunity for all of our residents, young and old alike, are great. And these are all great things. But just to go through the litany of what I've done, I've served on the Board of Selectmen, now the Select Board, for 6 years. Prior to that time as chair, I served on the Planning Board for more than a dozen years. Prior to that time as chair, I've served on the Conservation Commission for more than 20 years. Prior to that time as chair. So I've got a real breadth and depth of knowledge of the workings of our municipal government. And I think I can bring that breadth and depth of knowledge to use in the next 3 years if I'm elected to the Board of Selectmen. I want to say that some of my strong points, my degree is a dual degree in civil and environmental engineering from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. I think that's particularly important because engineers are problem solvers. That's what engineers do. They look at an issue that's before them, they weigh the various options, they call in various experts, they work cooperatively with folks to look at the problem, weigh the various options for solving the problem, and then come up with a solution that is the most efficient and cost-effective. So that's my training. That's inbred with me. That's what I do. And I think I can bring that breadth and depth of knowledge and that training and that approach to problem solving to good use on the Select Board. You know, I'm also very passionate about some of the things that we provide, some of the services and opportunities that we provide for our residents, both young and old alike. I've been actively engaged in a number of community efforts like Goffstown Junior Baseball, both as a longtime coach and an umpire. I still continue to umpire and be engaged with the board of directors of Goffstown Junior Baseball long after my son was out of the program. I'm also very active with scouting. I've been a scouter all of my life. I still support the Daniel Webster Council as best I can. I'm also very involved with Tri-Town Soccer. I love coaching Tri-Town Soccer. So I like to get involved with those sorts of activities and efforts within the community because I think that's part of the fabric of our community. I think that's what makes us a wonderful community and a strong community. You know, I love Goffstown. I really have enjoyed serving Goffstown in my various capacities. I would love to continue to serve Goffstown to the best of my abilities, and I would hope and ask for your vote on March 12th, and I would thank you very much for your attention tonight.
there's a candidate who maybe came in later I missed who has not spoken yet. Just want to make sure we did not miss anyone. Thank you, Fred. Next year. Just want to take care of some housekeeping items. I want to thank Kathy Ball from Town Hall, who helped put this together, getting all the candidates' names and contact information, so I was able to reach out to everyone. As usual, she did a great job. And also, just Town Hall itself. Always had good experience. When you go there, everyone is very efficient. They do their job right. So that's really appreciated for that. Diane, thank you again. I know you're controlling your coughing and everything. I know, it's okay. But thank you for you and the staff for making this evening tonight here. One of the things I just wanted to mention, when I was calling people, the most asked question was, Ken, are you going to tell another joke this year? I got more questions on that, but I really didn't find a good one, so maybe next year I'll have another year to search. But what I want to say, and I said it earlier at the beginning of the evening, about how important it is to vote, to make your voice heard. And a couple months back, my wife bought me a book. It's called When Pride Still Mattered, and it's the life story of Vince Lombardi. Most of you know who he is. For a few of you who don't, he was coach of the Green Bay Packers during the 1960s. And I know we have a lot of championships in New England. Vince Lombardi was probably one of the greatest coaches of all time, a very interesting man. When you read his biography and what he dealt with a time that when football teams, professional football teams, used to travel, black players were not allowed to stay with white players. Black players were not allowed in the same hotels a lot of times. Vince Lombardi saw one color, and that was the color green, he used to say. Green for the Green Bay Packers. And in a time when there was still segregation going on, he stood up. He had his voice heard, and he told that if everyone is not treated equally, we will not stay at this hotel. We will not go to your restaurant. We will not go to your business. And these places knew when Vince Lombardi came to town, the old rules were out the window. He was just a great man. He saw everyone equally. Didn't matter who you were, what color, what sex, it didn't matter. It's a fantastic book to read, but why I'm talking about this, there was something in there that reminded me about voting. And Vince Lombardi was a very loud person. If you ever get the chance to see any documentaries or read about him, he had quite a voice on him. And even though his players were a lot bigger, they cowered in front of him. But his players were afraid of two things. They were afraid of being yelled at by him because he was so loud. They were also afraid of him not yelling at them. The reason was, when he was yelling at you, he had an interest in you. He wanted you to be better. When he stopped yelling, he wasn't interested anymore. And they knew they were probably going to get cut from the team. In other words, silence is not good. So on March 12th, don't be silent. Get out there, get your friends and everyone you know to get out and vote. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the Lions Club, David Pierce. I know you want to come up and say something. I also want to thank Steve and everyone else with the club. Scott, good to see you here tonight. Good job. So, David, you want to come up for a minute?
Thank you. I just want to put another plug in for this wonderful brochure by the library. Many of you candidates have submitted your resumes. Is this available online?
Tomorrow morning it'll be available online.
The answer is tomorrow morning it'll be posted online through the library website. Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome, David. And again, thank you for all the candidates who came here tonight, and also